This episode of the podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Visit patreon.com/lightscameranonsense to help support your favorite new movie podcast. Now, let's get started. Just too damn hot recently, man. We're getting into the summer.
Yeah. It's not fun. I never liked summer.
Yeah.
It's too warm for me.
We live in the wrong state. I know I say this like every other podcast, but I don't know.
It's an ongoing trend.
It's too damn hot. And it's more the humidity now because we're like in the end of May trying to get into...
The state is too damn hot.
It's too damn hot.
Remember that guy?
I remember that guy. What happened to that guy? Did he die?
I think he's in office somewhere.
Oh, is he? Hold on.
Yeah.
The rent is too damn high. Guy. Auto-completed. Jimmy McMillan is his name.
I don't think I ever remembered that was his name.
It's Jimmy McMillan.
That is definitely... that I can see that name on that man.
Apparently he's just living his life. I mean, he's still part of the rent is too damn high political party.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you be?
He attempted to run for mayor of New York City in 2013 and then for governor in 2014, but it did not make the ballot. He later endorsed Donald Trump, so...
Well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always a shame. They say never meet your heroes. There we go.
There we go. Well, when you become a meme, how are you the villain at that point, or do you still have to wait a while? Who knows?
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the meme. Is that what it is?
That's basically what it is. That's what 2020 is now.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Nonsense, where we give you all the latest movie magic you may have missed. I'm Nick, the heat is too damn high Simmons.
And I'm Zach. I look better in 480p Smith.
Hey-o. I always have a much better middle name right after we finish recording the podcast.
You should do one take. Like we'll jump on earlier.
Okay.
So we can do like a couple run-throughs and tests and all that, and then included in that, we'll also get a run-through of the intro done, and you can just come up with one terrible middle name, and then immediately after, we'll start re-rolling, and you can do it again.
Oh, man. I don't know about that. That seems too professional. That seems like a lot of work.
It's just how you want to portray yourself. Do you want to portray yourself as the guy that struggles on middle names, or the guy that's really good at middle names?
I mean, I guess you're right. In that case, yeah.
Yeah.
On May 23rd, 2020, let's roll into the previews. Zach, what have you been watching?
Shit, I forgot to even...
I wrote mine down.
Well, I wrote mine down, but I didn't have it up. I wasn't prepared like I usually am. So first up, what I watched these last 2 weeks. Last episode, I talked a bit about Westworld Season 3.
That's right, yeah. Did you finish it?
So I did finish it. The Sunday after that last podcast was when the finale aired for that season.
Right.
I think for the most part, what I was saying before about it still holds true. It's definitely better than season 2 for sure. Not as good as season 1. They do some things with Aaron Paul's character.
Science, bitch.
Yeah.
That guy.
He's not that character in this.
Okay, good.
He's very much a straight man. But they kind of... It's so weird how they structure this narrative a little bit. And Westworld has always kind of had some issues with narrative structuring, aside from the first season. Where when they first intro him, he's kind of like shown as this guy who will have an effect, obviously, on the plot to a fairly large degree. He's one of the main people that the story is following.
Right.
But it's also kind of set up initially as him just kind of going along with Dolores. That's his story. He gets recruited by Dolores, who is now in the real world.
Right.
And so she's taking him on all these, like, you got to know the truth, man, type missions. But then the payoff for that is kind of like, well, actually, Aaron Paul was the important one, like the most important one the whole time.
Interesting.
And I'm not sure if it's earned.
How so?
Well, they just, like, they devote quite a bit of time to his story, like his character story. His whole, like, past is, like, kind of fuzzy. Like, you're not really sure what's happening with him. So it keeps on jumping back to, like, scenes from his past where it's like, oh, you remember this, you remember that, and then you're kind of like trying to solve a mystery within a mystery, if that makes any sense. It's like doubling down on obscuring the truth, but then like the truth that it comes out with is like, well, yeah, that I kind of always knew something was up with that.
Yeah. So even more mystery.
Right. And it's so like the you as a viewer kind of have an idea of what's happening before the show tells you what's happening for real. So when you get that, you're like, well, yeah, duh. Obviously there was something up with that.
Yeah.
And like that reveal is somehow simultaneously drawn out longer than it needs to, but then like its effects on the character are rushed as well. So Aaron Paul's character is like thrown into like the limelight, like, oh man, you're basically the most important person in the season.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that's what the rest of the season was. The rest of the season very much feels like Dolores is like
the de facto,
the top tier. Yeah, the de facto lead.
So it seems kind of weird. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
It seems weird that they would be introducing a new character to tote them as like the new main character for the third season. You know what I mean? Like they have like a different main lead other than Dolores in every season, and then they just brush them aside.
Like along with Dolores and Caleb, which is Aaron Paul's character, Maeve is on the opposite side trying to stop Dolores. So you have like these two bookends working against each other, and then Caleb is like in the middle of all that.
Okay.
But then by the end of it, Caleb is replaced as one of those bookends. It's very strange. But I can't say too much about the overall, like not the overall, but the effects of that. Mm-hmm. Without going into like massive spoiler territory, so I won't. But I will say there is another like through line that the season tries to follow with Bernard. What's Ashley's last name? The soldier. Do you remember?
Is this the tech character?
The captain from season 2, Stubbs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Hemsworth.
Which, spoiler, and sorry, if you haven't seen the ending of season 2, spoiler for that, Stubbs is alive at the very beginning of season 3.
I didn't even know he died, so.
Well, I was trying to think of that too. The way the season starts, it is like, oh, wow, I can't believe you're alive. And I'm like, did they show him dying on screen? Like, I don't remember that. Because the last thing I remember was, I remember seeing him on a beach. And they're like, again, season 2 spoiler, you're a robot, essentially. So I don't know if they were like splitting the difference between that reveal and like when they find him, he has like a bullet wound going through his cheek because he tried to kill himself, but obviously he's an android, so he can't do that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like when that first happened, I was like, did he die? I don't remember that happening.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, they do this through line with him, Bernard, and what's the old guy's name?
Man in Black? guy?
Yeah, the Man in Black.
Ed Harris.
Not. Yeah, the one who's evil. William. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're doing kind of a parallel story with all of them, and it amounts to basically nothing.
Oh, cool.
And it takes up like a third, if not more, of the season, which is a real drag because I like all those characters.
Yeah. Because you've been with them since season 1. Or
right,
his character.
But
yeah.
they're just not utilized very well. And a lot of times it just seems like they're kind of running in circles. Like there's at one point, Bernard and Stubbs are they're trying to kidnap like a tech exec that Dolores has been kind of spying on and trying to get info from.
Yeah.
They fail at that immediately. Like, the whole process takes like 10 minutes to fail. They then are redirected to some fucking building that William, Ed Harris's character, ends up being in. And they're like, well, you got to come with us. Like, you'll help us figure this out. And then Ed Harris is like, if I go with you, I'm going to fucking kill you. And you would think as characters, they'd be like, probably shouldn't bring him along. And even Stubbs is like, I don't want to be around this guy. But
yeah.
I guess Bernard's like, yeah, fuck it. Just bring him with us. Not less than 3 scenes later.
Right.
They're at a gas station. And fucking William has a shotgun on them and is literally trying to kill them.
Yeah, so...
It's fucking weird, man. Like, I don't understand the pacing sometimes.
So even when it tries to be super, like, mysterious, it tries to be super deep with all of its themes and characters and storylines, it still, kind of struggles with basic, like, character writing when it comes to, like, motivations.
Yeah, and it's so weird. They, like, will focus on specific characters or maybe max 1 or 2. And they'll like really flesh out what's going on there. They have like a very clear mindset of how this character operates. And then because they spent so long with them, they just kind of like everyone else falls by the wayside, but they still treat them as important as the people they focus on.
Yeah.
I'm ragging on it a lot right now, but I do want to reiterate it is better than season 2.
That's good.
It's just these little minor pacing and character quibbles that I have kind of drag it down a little bit. And it's weird. The season feels very transitional, but by the end of it, it's like there should not be a season 4 based on what I'm seeing here. Yeah, it's already been confirmed.
Oh, man. So it seems like they're going from season to season and trying to think of what they're going to do.
They are absolutely
so no game plan.
On the fly.
Remember the last time we were watching an HBO show and they didn't have a game plan?
Yeah, that ended well. But, as long as it's not the fucking train wreck that was season 2, I'll call it a win.
Okay, fair enough. What else?
Moving on, I watched another HBO show. I don't know if you're familiar with Run.
I'm familiar with Ran by the, Akira Kurosawa. So,
Run is a relatively new show on HBO. Yes, I see you pantomiming your little drum set there. This is good. Silent.
I can't play the drums. I can't play the drums. I'm sorry.
Run is a relatively new HBO show that just premiered. I think like maybe midway into Westworld's season 3.
Let me look it up.
And the finale. I'm once again hitting the our podcast the day before the finale. Is tomorrow.
Okay.
It is a Phoebe Waller-Bridge produced and I believe written.
It doesn't say that she wrote it. Created by Vicky Jones, starring Merritt Weaver and Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the writer. Weird.
Might have been like an episode basis sort of thing that we're seeing a lot. But she did produce it, and in fact, she shows up about halfway through the show. It is about Donald Gleason, and you just said her name, and I have already blanked it.
Merritt Weaver.
Merritt Weaver.
Yeah.
They are, I believe, college sweethearts, and they have a pact in place where if one of them texts the other one, run, they have 5 minutes to respond, run. And if they both say run, they meet up at a train station.
I remember this.
Are they... Sorry, what?
Oh, I was just going to say, I remember the trailer for this, and I couldn't figure out if it was a comedy or a drama or like a thriller series.
So I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So they both text each other run, and then they meet at a train, and then they spend... It's like one of those 3-day train rides or something like that.
Yeah. Is this overseas, like in Europe, kind of? Or is this in America?
It's kind of all over the place.
Oh.
You mean the train ride?
Yeah, where it takes place.
It's kind of all over the place now I think about it. Because at one point they're in Chicago, but then they're also in, like... Well, no, I think it might just be American. I don't know. Fuck.
Okay.
And by the end of the train ride, they have to decide if they are going to stay together after their experience or if they're going to part ways again and, go about their lives. And the whole premise being that they are both hiding things from each other. So they're just trying to kind of like integrate into the situation because they end up texting each other run and they meet at the train. But then, both of them have secrets that they're hiding from the other one. So slowly those start coming out. And then they have to react to that. And as you said, when you were watching the trailer, it's hard to pin down whether or not this is a comedy or a thriller, that kind of thing. Well, it's like a little bit of everything. It's very much a dark comedy because there are horrible, horrible situations that are still laughable. If that doesn't make me sound like a horrible person.
Well, a black comedy,
But the writing is really good. At least in terms of the characters and the dialogue. Sometimes the overall plot kind of goes off the rails a little bit. Like they do a little too much detouring for my taste, I think. Mm-hmm. And they're only 30-minute episodes, so they go by super quick. And you're really there primarily for the leads.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of figuring everything out.
Their wacky antics.
And sometimes the going other places gets a little bit like, right. I was kind of, more into that conversation they were having. But they're both like very deflective. So it's like they get themselves into those situations where they're dealing with something else. And it fucking gets nuts.
Okay.
Like violent. Not between them, but shit goes down.
Okay.
I have been enjoying it, and like I said, they're only 30-minute episodes, so they're super quick. And it's been fun.
Everything you just described makes me even more confused about what kind of a show this is. Like, for some reason, the first thing that comes to mind when I saw the trailer for that show, did you ever see the movie The Tourist with Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp?
I did not, no.
Okay, the trailer for that movie, one had a Muse song. It was one of the Muse songs where it's like, it's melancholy, but it's also a rock song. So you're like, is this an action movie? Is this a spy movie? Is this a romantic movie? Like, what is this? So
yes, that's the answer. Yes.
Yeah. So when it's a blend of a whole bunch of different genres, it's kind of on the discretion of the viewer if they're interested in finding out what it is.
Yeah, to take what they will from it. I will say there's not really a whole lot of action. Anything you're going to get from this is going to be character-driven comedy or character-driven drama / And the mystery is so, like, a lot of times they'll be like, I don't want to tell you this thing about me. And then 10 minutes later, they're telling them that thing about them. So, like, the mystery of it all, there's one big mystery that the whole season is kind of like periodically like chiseling at. You get a lot of her, like what her life is actually like up front. But then his is left for the end. So.
Right. And it's compelling enough that you're interested in continuing the series.
Right. I think, again, that 30-minute runtime definitely benefits it because I don't know if I could handle a 40 minutes to an hour long episodes of this. It's, I think, only total is like 10 episodes or something like that. I don't know. Last time I tried to remember how many episodes there were in a show, i.e. Westworld, I was off by like 2 or 3. So,
well,
it's short though.
It's on HBO and it's a 30-minute show, so it's probably pretty much guaranteed it's going to be 10 episodes. That's what HBO usually does. That's their modus operandi. Operandi?
Look at you. Operandi.
Right now, it's only got 6 episodes out, with the next episode actually premiering tomorrow. So you got that.
Oh, maybe we're 2 weeks off from the finale.
Yeah, but that's interesting. You know, I'll have to give it a shot. I trust HBO's quality when it comes to their content, and I like black comedy just in general. So, and I like Domino Gleeson as an actor. So
yeah, he's great. And like I said, both of the leads are fantastic. Like, they're the main reason to stay and watch. So
that's cool.
And then I know I'm going a little long here, so I will wrap up with the last thing that of consequence that I watched. We also watched stuff like Endgame and whatnot because we're getting to a point where we're just throwing whatever on.
Yeah.
But the last new thing I watched was Annabelle Comes Home.
So is this number 12? Okay. There's so many.
How many are in the Conjuring? I think this is number 7 or 8 in the Conjuring verse.
Let's do this. So Conjuring 1.
Conjuring 1.
Conjuring
Annabelle.
2.
Conjuring 2.
The La Llorona 1.
Yeah.
The Nun.
Annabelle 2.
Annabelle.
The Nun.
Wait. Okay, you didn't say Annabelle. Yeah. So Annabelle 2, which is Annabelle Creation.
Right.
Annabelle Comes Home, which is number 3.
3.
And then there was also... I feel like there was one more spinoff. Hold on. I'll look it up. Conjuring Universe. How many do you have so far? I want to see how far off we were.
7.
Universe.
Conjuring 1, 2, Annabelle 1, 2, 3. Oh, just hit the mic.
So Conjuring 1, 2, Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, which is coming out this September 11th, which we'll see. Annabelle 1, 2, and 3, The Nun, Nun sequel, which is in development, Curse of La Llorona, and The Crooked Man, which is in development. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 released so far, with more, coming out.
So, the best way I can describe Annabelle Comes Home is it is secretly kind of Conjuring 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It has Ed and Lorraine Warren back briefly. They have a small parts in the movie, but it mainly focuses on their daughter Judy, and she's being babysat while they're away. And one of her babysitter's friends comes over, goes into the room that no one should ever go into, and for an inexplicable reason proceeds to touch/release every single thing in the room. So it's kind of like like an Avengers style Conjuring verse thing. It's a little wild.
It's all connected. Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see the movie that I saw when we sat down to watch it, because both the first and the second Annabelle movies obviously very much focus on Annabelle. Annabelle Comes Home obviously Annabelle's in it, but comparatively to everything else that shows up, she's like just there. She's like, oh, Annabelle's controlling everything because she's a conduit for all these evil spirits.
Right.
So in a sense, yeah, Annabelle's the real villain of the movie, but who am I seeing on screen more often? Am I seeing Annabelle, or am I seeing the fucking werewolf that's running around a suburban neighborhood? Or am I seeing the ferryman who has the coins that they used to put on people's eyes to let them be ferried across the river Styx? There's a bunch of things that show up, and it's dumb, but it's enjoyable, you know?
Okay.
Where I felt like a lot of people liked Annabelle Creation, which is one that takes way in the past, obviously. Yeah. But I felt like that one was like campy as shit, and it didn't know it. It was just like not having it. It was like, you need to take me seriously, and I'm super scary, but everything in the movie told me like, this is really stupid. And Conjuring 3. Annabelle Comes Home is very much in the same vein of like, this is really fucking dumb, but it's also fun.
Huh.
So it's probably my favorite Annabelle movie, which I know isn't saying much, but
you know, it's funny. The guy who wrote Annabelle Comes Home and also directed it. I just realized the pun. I'm sorry. He wrote and directed Annabelle Comes Home. Gary Doberman.
Yes.
Or Dauberman. He also wrote Annabelle 1 and Annabelle Creation and It.
And The Nun, I believe.
Yeah, and The Nun and It Chapter 2, and is going to be directing and writing and producing Salem's Lot. So he's kind of all in.
Yeah, he's in the horror game.
Yeah. He looks... Sorry. He looks silly. He's one of those people who should be bald, but like his actual natural hair, like he's got a 5.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gary Doberman. That's me. That's me, and I deserve whatever I get from that. So
your hair's falling out. So.
It is. I get. Well, luckily it's like you can tell where it. Oh shit. You can tell where it is because it's bright blue-ish, greenish blonde. So it's pretty easy to pick up and get rid of. So Annabelle Comes Home, is it worth watching? Like, after I only watched like the first 10 minutes of Annabelle Creation, and I was like, wow, this is dumb as hell. Yeah. So can I skip?
Unless you're watching Annabelle Creation with someone who will also make fun of the movie with you.
Okay.
Literally no reason to watch it.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, you don't even need to watch Annabelle 1 to watch Annabelle 3, which is so fucking weird. Like, you don't need to watch Annabelle 1 or 2 to watch Annabelle 3. And you don't need to watch Annabelle 1 or 3 to watch Annabelle 2.
Huh.
And you don't need to watch 2 or 3 to watch 1. They're like totally separate and devoid of one another, aside from the main character.
I was gonna say, because you mentioned the fact that it's kind of an Avengers type movie, because it's Annabelle Comes Home, but it also has all these other monsters.
Yeah.
And it feels connected to The Conjuring more than it does its own franchise.
Yes, absolutely. Mm.
It's funny because I'll mention a movie later that reminds me of that does the exact same thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd say give it a watch. If you're going to watch one Annabelle movie, I'd say watch this one. It's not as boring. Like, the first one is utterly fucking drab and boring. Literally nothing happens in it unless you're talking about the end. Is it the end where the couple gets murdered, or the beginning?
It's been a while. Remember. Since the first one came out, it's been a while.
That or the elevator scene are basically the only scenes of note in that movie. And then Annabelle 2 is, like I said, if you have someone to watch it and make fun of it with you, then that's fun. And the movie itself, it would be fun if it realized it was fun and it wasn't trying too hard. But yeah, if you're going to watch one, watch 3 for sure.
I got to look this up.
But
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's it for me. If, would you watch?
I watched...
You're dying.
Sorry, I was trying to say two different things, and I was like mid gasp. I watched so much shit. I was like, wow, man, Zach has actually watched a whole bunch. He's been keeping busy. I also have been. I'll just briefly go over Clone Wars season 4.
Oh, you okay? So I think you're farther than me then. If you're through season 4,
I'm in the last 2 episodes. I'm in the arc where it's Ventress's coming back, and she gets attacked by Count Dooku.
Was that season 4?
Yeah, it's the end of season 4.
Have I watched season 4? Are you sure?
Yes, season 4. Asajj Ventress basically just got spoiler, I guess, for season 4 of a show that just finished.
Gets cast aside for Count Dooku, and then he's like, I need a Maulian guy, so he goes to the village and gets.
That's season 3.
Okay,
and then at the end of season 4, Count Dooku takes the initiative and attacks Ventress on Dathomir, and she loses.
I haven't got to that. Got to that.
Whoops.
Yeah. I'll get to it eventually.
So I'm like in the last 2 or 3 episodes of the season, and then I'll move on. Really great. I'm glad that I've stuck with it. And
so it's picked up for you then.
Yeah.
After getting to more straightforward plot.
The arcs are definitely longer and more full of content. Like, I feel when I'm watching an episode, I'm like, wow, it's still going. It's only 25 minutes, but I feel like I'm getting a lot of story very quickly. Yeah. So there's like a 4 or 5 episode arc in season 2.
Yeah, as long as it's not an underwater or Naboo arc, I'm generally pretty good.
Well, there's the first couple episodes of season 4 that were really boring.
Yeah, that's what I hit. I'm at the end of that arc, and I was like, all right, I need a bit.
Yeah, I had to power through. And so that's really great. I'm gonna keep with it. I'll finish season 4 this weekend, and I'll start season 5. I'll probably finish season 5, moving on to 6 by the time we record again. And I'll give you an update then. I started watching. I'll go over a movie I've already seen. Baby Driver. I rewatched that. Fantastic movie. It's a really good movie. I missed the kind of watch along with Edgar Wright. No, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
He didn't do Baby Driver. He did Scott Pilgrim. But that influenced me to watch Baby Driver. I was like, it's just a good movie. So a couple of new stuff. I'll go over the TV shows first. I watched Snowpiercer, the first episode of that. First 2? No, just the first episode.
So how was this first episode? Because I've heard some shit about the Snowpiercer TV show.
So I can tell you that a lot of the special effects when it comes to showing like the outside world, outside of the train, are not as great as the film, which came out several years ago. But you can tell that the show is definitely on TNT. And the quality shows there. But
take that as you will.
Take that if you hate TNT and the quality of their shows, No, they don't have as big a budget as the movie, obviously, for maybe the first couple episodes. But if we're taking it as a pilot and the quality of that pilot, it's a great start to a TV show. It already differentiates itself from the film because it's a different story. It's different from both the comic and the film. So it's a different interpretation of it. Let me actually pull it up. I had it pulled up.
It's more like a procedural.
Yeah, because you have the main character who they actually kind of give you a glimpse into as the world is ending. And it's the people who have to. Crap! I pulled up the movie. The people that have to try to get onto the train and what they had to sacrifice, and all the people that basically got left in the dust, per se. So you got Jennifer Connelly, who plays one of the upper crust, who plays the voice of the train. I think that was who. Help me out. Tilda Swinton.
If you're gonna ask me anything about the movie, I have not seen the movie.
Oh man, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Obviously,
I told you when we saw Parasite, that is literally the only Bong Joon-ho. Oh my god, yeah,
Bong Joon-ho. Yeah,
Yeah. I just choked on my own tongue.
Aha, we're all dying slowly.
Bong Joon-ho movie that I ever saw.
Well, it's weird that I started you off with Parasite and not Snowpiercer then. That's interesting. The story of Snowpiercer, the TV show, is from Bong Joon-ho, the director of the film, and not the original comic creators that it's based off of. So that's kind of interesting, is that he's taking a twist on his interpretation of the movie and not the comic that it's based on. Right. So you've got Jennifer Connelly, like I said. You got Daveed Diggs, who's great. He's the main character. He plays Andre Layton, who is a former homicide detective. Homicide. Potato, murder, potato.
Who says potato?
Nobody.
Who says homicide?
I hate that that's a fucking phrase. Who says potato? That's what I want to know. So he's a detective who gets hired by Jennifer Connelly and the upper crust to solve a murder at the front of the train. And so he uses that as an opportunity, because he's kind of a quasi-leader for the people who live in the tail, who they call themselves tailies, who are basically poor, and you have to eat like soap for food.
Sounds like a West Side Story gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the tailies.
Yeah. Yo, we're the tailies. Yo, we're coming to
Forget
get you.
them sharks and jets. We're the tailies.
Oh my god. And
why is this hallway so long? Oh yeah, that's right. We're on a train.
yeah,
Why are all my characters like Jersey?
I don't know. And it's not even an L train. So
Yeah.
he's a homicide detective, and he uses that as a way to kind of map out the train so that he can help the tailies uprise the upper crust, and basically the plot of the original movie that it's based off of, where people in the back of the train are trying to get to the front, etc.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, Snowpiercer, the TV show, is set in 2021. A year later.
That doesn't bode well.
Yeah. I feel like they did that on purpose to kind of give you a foreboding feeling, but it's set 7 years after the world becomes a frozen wasteland.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This was in development for quite a while, was it not?
Yeah, a couple years.
The script was in development hell.
Yeah, a couple years.
Yeah. So,
It was in development at TNT for over 3 years. The series faced numerous production issues and delays arising from creative differences between the series producers and the network. So, yeah, that it would air on TBS for spring 2020, and that it was already renewed for a second season. Hey, cool. TBS seems like a weird choice, considering how violent the pilot was. It's a violent
so the
story.
first season is airing on TNT, and then it's moving over to TBS?
No. In September 2019, the decision to change networks was reversed. So it's still renewed for a second season, but it will be on TNT.
Gotcha.
From what I got of the pilot, like I said, it's really interesting. I think, even if you're a fan of the original film, it's not retreading the same territory. It's not like, I got Daveed Diggs instead of Chris Evans. It's not like you're not substituting characters. It's an entirely different story. So I highly recommend people check it out if you can. They've got a lot of great people behind the scenes. An executive producer of Scott Derrickson, who's worked on Doctor Strange, Sinister, all that kind of stuff. Let me move on, because we're spending a lot of time doing all this stuff. I also watched the first 2 episodes. Yes, the first 2 episodes, and I know there's more.
There it is. Make a shirt. It's happened.
That's all I had the time for, because I have to work. Of Penny Dreadful, City of Angels. So is
this a sequel series or something to the?
I mean, it's a sequel in that it takes place after the first season, or after the first series, but it's a spin-off, really. Because it doesn't have any of the original characters. It's an entirely new story. It's a spin-off of the 2014 series, which unfortunately was... I stopped watching halfway through the first season because I think I was too distracted with other stuff. But it was from what I've read, it was a really well thought out and well produced show that just got canceled by Showtime, I believe. And this is also on Showtime. Created by John Logan.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
We're gonna cancel the main show, but then revive it years later with a spin-off
spin-off.
show.
Yeah, entirely different plot.
TV's fucking weird, man.
It is. It is. And it was created by John Logan, who's been nominated twice for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay for Gladiator and The Aviator, and once for Best Adapted Screenplay for Hugo. So
There's Hugo again. You love your Hugo.
he also wrote Alien Covenant and Spectre and Skyfall and Rango and Sweeney Todd. So he's been kind of all over the place.
That is a mixed bag.
Yeah,
so eclectic, one might say.
He knows how to write his dark fantasy, I guess. But so Penny Dreadful City of Angels is set nearly 50 years after the original series, during the golden age of Hollywood in the 1930s. So it takes place in 1938 Los Angeles, where there's a lot of Mexican American and white American like feuds. There's a lot of distrust between the two races.
Racial tensions.
Yeah. Right before World War II, so you still have people who are like, yeah, Hitler's not. He seems like an okay guy. There's a character who.
Have you heard about this Hitler guy?
I mean,
he seems like okay.
He's a diplomatic. I mean, I'm not going to bring it into current political subject matter, but so it stars Natalie Dormer.
Hitler never wears a mask at the hospital. Never. And it is recommended to wear the mask. He does not.
At a mask making facility. Anyway, it's the beginning. The first episode, it starts off in like it looks like a cornfield where a bunch of Hispanic people are they're farming, they're doing their job, and you see these two women. One played by Lorenza Iso, who plays Santa Muerte, who I definitely just butchered the pronunciation of that, who's like the Grim Reaper, but really only deals with like taking souls and is more associated with like healing and protection. And then Natalie Dormer, who plays Magda, who's like a supernatural demon who can take the form of anyone she chooses. So she plays 3 characters in this show. And is kind of secretly influencing the events of the series from behind the scenes, obviously. And then you play. I have the video game mindset. I just want to go back to playing video games. Daniel Zavato.
Sorry to break into your day.
Yeah, you ruined it. I'm like, I was telling my mom, I'm like, yeah, I gotta go record the fucking podcast. You know that thing I love doing.
I just want to play some video games.
But it covers the LAPD's first Mexican American detective, who plays who's being played by Daniel Zavato, and his partner is Nathan Lane, who shows up. He's one of the main characters.
That's a weird pick.
Yeah, but he's great in it. I love Nathan in this. But you also have a lot of people in the background. You got Lynn Shay shows up. She's
all right.
She's a friend of Nathan's, and Piper Parabo shows up. It's a lot of like people who are in the background like C characters are like I see them in movies all the time. What the hell? But so far, it's weird. I get like the first scene of the film, one of the characters gets burned in that cornfield that they're picking at. And the fire is just the worst CGI fire I've seen of all time. And I'm like, ooh, this is not setting a great precedent. But it gets a little better with the special effects as it goes on. But I feel like it's pretty much on par, on quality with the original Penny Dreadful, and one of the original reasons why I kind of dropped off of the original series. But I'm going to kind of stick with it. I'll give it another couple episodes, but like I said, my rule of thumb is if it's an hour long per episode drama series, I usually give it the first 2 episodes, and I want to see, am I still interested in watching it from that point on? And I am, but I feel like it's definitely more toned down in the supernatural elements as opposed to its original. The series it was based off of. Mm-hmm. So you really only have these 2 supernatural creatures in this series, but it's more about race and class and kind of the climate of it's interesting. I like the golden age of Hollywood, and I like that time period. So I'm interested to see where it goes.
So, having watched the first 2 episodes of both, would you recommend Hollywood or the Penny Dreadful spinoff?
Penny Dreadful. I don't see myself going back to Hollywood.
Well, I mean, probably not now. I mean, you don't want to get on a plane.
Yeah. Well, that's just true. I don't know. Ryan Murphy, I've been kind of turned off from since, like, what was it? It was American Horror Story Hotel, I think, which was like...
Sure, yeah. We got some American Horror Story news today, so...
Oh, we do? Okay.
Brace up, yeah.
Great. So, I mean, it's just been a while since I've watched any of his stuff. The last time I was, like, fully committed to that show was, like, the circus season of American Horror Story. Freak Show. And that was really only because of this, the subplots of that show, not even the main story. Let me move on.
The last one I watched too.
Yeah. Let me move on because Penny Dreadful. Check it out if you can. If you're interested in it, there's a lot of very uncomfortable racism, but that was of the time.
America.
Enjoy the racism. Oh crap. So I watched a couple movies as well. I watched 3 movies. Eventually, we will get to news and stuff. Let's see where we are time wise. Oh shit! So I watched Capone.
Okay. Yeah.
Starring Tom Hardy. Other than one specific like dream sequence, it's boring as hell. Guess who it's directed by?
It looked like it. You sent me this, but I forget.
It's directed by Josh Trank.
Oh yeah, Fantastic Four guy.
Yep,
that's right.
Chronicle is his only good movie, and that's still true. Sorry, Tom Hardy delivered a fantastic performance in this movie, but it's just a boring. Like when you watch a movie about Al Capone, do you really want to watch the movie about his last year he was alive? When he's losing his mind, he's shitting himself in the bed, he's slapping his wife, he's shooting his employees.
Fun for the whole family.
Yeah, it's a hard watch.
It's fair. I'll give it to you. However, we saw what happened with Gangster Squad, which was basically just a poor man's Untouchables. Exactly. Untouchables is like a near perfect movie.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you going to do?
you move on and you don't try to make your own version.
You already hit the high bar. No one ever mentions Al Capone again.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you get great examples of it. Like, I'll bring it up again. I just fucking blanked. The show I always mention. It was about Boardwalk Empire. Thank you. Where you have, and he's like a minor character that doesn't show up until like season 2. But Al Capone shows up as this younger guy who's like, he's robbing banks and he's killing people. And he's a really compelling character. That's the part of his life that everybody is intrigued by.
Yeah.
You don't want to see the last hour that Bonnie and Clyde are alive. You don't want to see Butch and Sundance right as they're about to exit the bar and that be the whole movie. You don't want the final moments of their lives. You want the compelling parts that got them to that point. So, I don't know.
The last hour of Bonnie and Clyde's life would be a very strange movie.
Yes, it would. And then, so don't watch Capone. It's fucking boring and stupid. I watched Scoob.
I was this close. I was like, you know what? I bet you anything Nick's going to watch Scoob. And it was on my list, but hey, it's probably good I didn't because we're almost at an hour, so we're not even out of what we watched.
Yeah,
how is Scoob?
I've been busy, man. I've been busy watching a lot of this stuff. Scoob is it's okay. It's obvious it's an animated kids film, so I'm outside of the demographic. But the reason I mentioned this before, because you mentioned that Annabelle comes home is like the Avengers of like all these different characters.
Yeah,
Scoob is not necessarily even about like Scooby-Doo and like the gang because they get split up like almost immediately at the beginning of the film,
right?
After their kind of origin and the little cute origin, and then it's really more about like introducing all of these like Hanna-Barbera characters. So you get like Blue Falcon and his robot dog.
Okay, were you a big Hanna-Barbera kid growing up?
Kinda. I mean, there were bits and
The
pieces of it. Like I
outside-
remember Dynamite, and I remember Dick Dastardly.
I was a huge into Hanna-Barbera. Cartoon Network was on like 24/7 when I was very young. So when Blue Falcon showed up in the trailer, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to watch this movie now.
It's really kind of skippable. I mean, the guy who Will Forte does Shaggy, who does an amazing Shaggy voice, by the way.
Yeah, even though Matthew Lillard was sad that he wasn't recast as Shaggy.
I mean, move on, Lillard. Move on.
But it's Matthew Lillard. What else does he have? Let the man play Shaggy.
He has Scream, but he died at the end of that one. So, spoiler. You got Simon Cowell showing
Spoiler
up as
for
himself.
Scream 1.
Scream 1, 97, I think. Anyway, Tracy Morgan shows up as Captain Caveman, just totally not appropriate. Ken Jeong playing Dynamite. He's actually great in this. Kiersey Simmons, Amanda Seyfried playing Daphne, Zac Efron playing Fred, Gina Rodriguez playing Velma, Mark Wahlberg playing Blue Falcon.
I don't think I knew that was Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
That's wild.
If you hear him for like more than the 5 seconds you see him in the trailer, you're like, oh, great, Mark Wahlberg, cool. It's just kind of a who's who of, oh, look at this character from Hanna-Barbera. And it's more about that and introducing those characters than it is about, solving a quote-unquote mystery, because it's not a mystery.
Yeah.
You know who the villain is almost immediately. And it doesn't feel like a real Scooby-Doo movie. Like the DNA of a Scooby-Doo movie, or even a Scooby-Doo show, it's about them like trying to solve a mystery and who did it. And I feel like it would have been more compelling if you tried to do something like that, as opposed to putting a budget behind introducing all of these characters that you're not gonna bring back for the sequel. Yeah. So,
best Scooby-Doo movie is still Zombie Island. That shit was great.
I would say the first live action Scooby-Doo is the best one. So we'll just agree to disagree. And then the final movie I watched, I literally started watching it last night and finished it this morning. The Lovebirds.
It's a long movie.
No, I fell asleep because it was fucking 2:00 in the morning, and I normally go to bed at 10.
The Nanjiani movie.
Yeah, The Lovebirds. Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani, who it was supposed to premiere in theaters along with Scoob and Capone, but fuck those movies. Supposed to premiere when it was like April, right? April 3rd, but was pulled because of the pandemic and then got released last night. Directed by Michael Showalter. Yeah, on Netflix. Which is great because it's more accessible than as opposed to the video on demand for Scoob and Capone. Yeah. I thought it was great. It reminded me a lot of, did you ever see Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey?
I did not see Date Night.
That one's pretty good. It's not as funny as some of, like, for example, their TV shows, but it's a pretty good romp about a couple who... Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that was kind of in the period after Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell's career that I was like...
It was the 2010... What was it?
I'm sure they're good. He's still great, but I didn't make the time to watch it.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see with Space Force coming to Netflix, I think the end of this week.
That's soon.
Directed by Michael Showalter, The Lovebirds, starring Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani, like I said. It's an hour and a half. I would say it's a good romp. If you never watched the trailer, a lot of the funny moments, I'm not going to say all of them, but most of the funny moments were in the trailer.
That's always a bummer.
It's a bummer, but at the same time, like, the chemistry between these two characters is actually really, I don't want to say compelling. That seems like the wrong word, but it
intriguing?
Seems intriguing. It seems genuine. So, like, you definitely feel a connection between the two comedians. And, I enjoyed watching the story. I felt like the story... So, like, obviously, if you watch the trailer, they are going on a date night, and they accidentally run over a biker, and then a guy comes in, he's like, I'm a cop, and he commandeers their vehicle, and then runs over the guy, kills him, and then walks out. And they're like, oh, shit, and then they get accused of they think they get accused of being of murdering the bicycle guy, so they run away and they try to solve the mystery of who that guy was, why he was killing the guy on the bike,
Yeah.
etc. That story itself is kind of bare bones. It doesn't seem like they put a lot of
It's
effort
the setup.
It's the setup. It's really more about getting these two funny characters from point A to point B to point C to point D,
Right.
and the funny moments along the way. I enjoyed it. I laughed a couple of times. It's good, especially for couples who are looking for a great comedy movie. And it's like I said, it's an hour and 27 minutes, so it's quick too.
Nice.
So I recommend it.
But it's good when, even in a movie where most of the big jokes are spoiled in the trailer, it's good to at least have that chemistry to fall back on.
Yeah.
So you at least have something there to keep you interested.
Yeah. So, if you got an hour and a half you're trying to kill, or it's date night, no pun intended, watch Date Night or watch The Lovebirds, but this is more recent.
Double feature.
Double feature. Yeah, they're both great. I think that's it. Zach?
All right. Just under an hour.
So, well, it was a light week, all right? The topic that we had for both last week's episode and for this week was kind of flimsy, so
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. Let's jump into news.
News.
Because we do have a fairly large one to get to. Actually, there's like two fairly large ones.
That's what she said.
I'm gonna rattle off some of these real quick.
Right.
So apparently, CBS has officially ordered a Silence of the Lambs sequel series called Clarice, which is a procedural drama.
Hold on. Don't they already have a movie of that of Clarice?
Hannibal is the sequel movie to Silence of the Lambs, where they replaced
Jodie Foster with Julianne Moore.
Right.
Thank you, Google. But doesn't her character die in Hannibal? Am I incorrect?
I don't believe this is connected. If it's connected to Hannibal, it's before. I don't remember her dying in Hannibal. It's been a long time since I've seen I saw Hannibal once, and I was like, yeah, that's enough.
It's been a while since I've watched any of these movies.
Silence of the Lambs still holds up. I still watch that one like every 3 or so years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Sorry. Damn you, Wikipedia.
So there's that. Cool. In other CBS news, they have officially greenlit Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is a follow-up to Star Trek Discovery. It's like with some of the same crew members, but they're like doing their own thing, I guess.
So it's much like what they've done in the past, which is make an entirely new series rather than continue it.
It says based on the years that Captain Pike commanded the Enterprise, and will feature returning characters as well. So both of those will be on CBS All Access.
What was it called?
Strange New Worlds.
Okay. It's actually a book too.
Oh.
By Dean Wesley Smith. Huh. Anyway, sorry.
And then also in news for properties that don't need television adaptations, AMC is developing an Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles TV show, which, if you're unfamiliar, Anne Rice is behind Interview with a Vampire, Queen of the Damned. Is there another one I'm missing?
Yeah, let's look it
Is
up.
it just those two?
I feel like there is. The anthology books that I see of hers are super huge.
Well, the book series is fucking crazy long, but I don't remember if there was another movie.
Interview with of the movies.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. I just looked up Anne Rice adaptations. adaptations. I forgot how to spell it. Exit to Eden. Nope.
No, that's not. I can't do it.
Holy shit!
I don't know. What do I
this?
fucking know? Sure, yeah, the Exit to Eden Anne Rice movie.
What the fuck is this? It's a Exit to Eden. Let me just do this. Is a 1994 American comedy thriller film directed by Gary Marshall, who you may know as the director of Princess Diaries, Princess Diaries 2, Runaway Bride, New Year's Eve, Mother's Day, all of those fucking movies, Pretty Woman. And adapted to screen. It's based off an Anne Rice novel of the same name. The original musical score composed by Patrick Doyle. Blah blah blah. It stars Dan Aykroyd, Rosie O'Donnell, Stuart Wilson, Dane Delaney. What the fuck is this?
Sounds like you got some homework to watch for next episode.
I'm looking at the poster, and it's Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell in dominatrix outfits with police badges as they're trying to arrest a stripper. Sorry, what was the other news? What the fuck is this?
after your trip. So this was news that I was like, I didn't even realize this was a fucking thing. Apparently there's a Scarface reboot in the works.
Oh yeah.
Universal is developing a Scarface reboot, and it has officially landed its director, who is Luca Guadagnino. That can't be right. That can't be right.
Hold on.
They're the director behind Call Me by Your Name and the Suspiria remake.
Luca Guadagnino.
Sure.
Guadagnino. He's Italian, right? Please? Yeah, he is. He's from Italy. Okay. Guadagnino.
So add that to the list of movies that are getting a reboot inexplicably for no fucking reason.
With the scripts by the Coen brothers, by the way. That's interesting.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Huh.
Still don't want it. I still don't want it.
Nah. Let a classic be a classic and just move on.
Regarding the American Horror Story news that I referenced earlier, Ryan Murphy has revealed that he's working on an anthology spin-off series called American Horror Stories.
Boo!
What can we do with this? Ness.
No, not. Okay, so it's Storys? They didn't even spell it right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is spelled correctly.
Okay.
He revealed on Instagram that it will be self-contained hour-long episodes. So think like Black Mirror type shit. Maybe that'll work out, because I feel like one of the reasons why I couldn't get into American Horror Story, like the actual season-long arcs, is because they were just boring, and it felt like they took too long.
Yeah.
And they weren't scary.
They stretch out a story that could easily be contained into even a 2.5 hour film, and then stretch it out and just stretch it out and stretch it out. Like, Hotel, to me, is such an interesting premise. Like, you bring on Lady Gaga, you bring on all of the cast from the previous seasons, and you do interesting things with, hotels have always been inherently scary, right? Am I incorrect?
Right. Sure, yeah.
Older hotels, especially in LA. And then you bring on that premise of American Horror Story, and you're like, okay, cool, this can be really interesting. But then they do nothing with it. Like, she plays a fucking vampire, and they do nothing with it. It's just... And then they do Roanoke, which was completely different. Cult, Apocalypse, 1984. They just kept going. And, like, you don't have to have a new season every year, dude. Just take a break. Think of a good story.
Well, I really couldn't... I thought that person was on your screen that just walked through your camera, and that scared the shit out of me.
Oh, it is.
No, I'm sorry. The person I saw on your screen, I thought was in my house.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, who the fuck is that? Sorry, yeah, I didn't even finish season 1 of American Horror Story because I got like 5 episodes in and I was like, I'm wasting my time. And then I watched about half of Freak Show and I was like, still not doing it.
They
so,
even
I don't know, maybe
they even like
maybe
made
this
the
would be
seasons. Look how she's go away, get out.
hello.
You were waving with the wrong hand. She didn't see the wave. Anyway, move on. Move on with your life. Go smoke. So they even made the seasons shorter. Like with after Roanoke, there was like 10 episodes, 11 episodes, 10 episodes, 9 episodes for the latest season. And they're even bringing back older characters from like or not older characters, but older actors from the first couple of seasons for the latest season. But who knows with the pandemic if that's even going to be coming out this year.
Yeah.
So not only is he doing American Horror Stories, but he's also doing American Horror Story Season 10. Or maybe it's going to be one of the same.
I cannot get over how fucking lazy that naming convention is. I mean, there's like tons of examples already in the industry
Aliens.
where you... Or if you just...
Predators.
If you take the same fucking movie like Predator and add the at the start of it, like...
What's funny is Predators is a much better sequel than The Predator.
I know,
Yeah.
That's what I hear. I actually saw Predators. I never saw the Predator.
You never saw The Predator? I just watched it right after like almost immediately after recording our last week's episode. I didn't want to bother talking about it.
Not good.
No, it's not only
that's
is it
Shane Black, right?
Yeah, it's Shane Black, who was in the original Predator. And he's written fantastic films like Nice Guys. What was it?
I liked Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is a decent film. And then you have, what was the one with Robert Downey Jr.? A Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which was fucking great. It's in my top 10 favorite films. It's a garbage film. Not only you're making fun of people with stutters, you're making fun of people with mental handicaps. You have poor writing with Olivia Munn, like total plot holes and stuff. And from what I've gathered in the research for that movie, as much as I did, there was a lot of studio involvement. A lot of 20th Century Fox dipping their finger in Shane Black's pie. Take of that what you will. But Predators is better, and that's fucking Adrian Brody trying to play Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was the big news?
No, we're not there yet.
Shit.
Reset the clock, because New Mutants has a new release date.
Oh, yeah.
A theatrical release date, mind you. August 28th of 2020 is the new release date.
It's not.
So we'll see.
It's not coming out in August.
We'll see.
I'm not saying because I'm trying to be negative. I'm saying that because this pandemic will go into August and it will push it back again. Just put it on fucking Disney Plus, guys, or put it on Hulu. Sorry, put it on Hulu. Yeah. Make money off of it, man. Shit.
One day.
I feel bad for him.
Well, okay, so I did read into a little bit why they're not doing VOD or anything like that, and it's because when they acquired 20th Century Fox, it was in the contract stipulations that I think most, if not all, the movies they got from them had a mandate that they had to be released theatrically. So that's why. So as ridiculous as it is that we have now the 5th rescheduled release date of the year, that's why.
So dumb. What a dumb stipulation too. Like if you're selling off all your stock, why keep that stipulation? You're not.
They probably also had a stipulation in there where they get a percentage based off of box office for anything that they release.
I suppose.
So they probably attached that addendum to any of the big name movies that they were shoving out.
Well, let me throw this at you because I'm pretty sure it was Fox as well, but let me make sure. The Artemis Fowl film. That's coming to Disney Plus.
It is. So that did not have that mandate on it.
That was, I think that was always Disney. Yeah, that was always Disney, so never mind. But that's a much more you can market that a lot easier than you can anything else. But at the same time, at least they're releasing it on Disney Plus. It was going to come out. On June 12th. I'm really excited for it. It's going to be dog shit because my expectations are, in the fucking stars. But
yeah, from what I'm hearing, it kind of deviates from the source material a lot. So I don't know if you'll enjoy it that much. Maybe I'll get a good rant from you on the podcast about how nothing like it.
Yeah. Kenneth Branagh, man.
So, Yep. I'm going to delete some of these because they're kind of like whatever.
125
Umbrella Academy Season 2 has a official premiere date for Netflix, July 31st of 2020. So
I got to rewatch.
A little over 2 months.
I got to rewatch the first season.
I need to finish the first season.
You could probably start from the beginning. I think for what it's based off of and how fucking nuts that that graphic novel series is.
Yeah.
It's worth a rewatch. I think everybody in it, except for the obvious black sheep of every cast that she's in. What I just forgot her fucking name.
Ellen Page?
Yes, thank you. She's just weird, man. She plays the same character that she's in everything else. Like, I feel like that's kind of her modus operandi. She's playing the kind of quirky, always in the shy, but also not shy whenever she has the ability to project. I don't know. I don't know. I have reservations about Ellen Page and everything that she's in. I feel like she can do better. She has done better, but it's always in stuff that nobody ever sees. So,
she's very politically minded. She does a lot of like conservation and humanitarian efforts. So
that's cool. I try to never bring politics into my opinions about certain actors, but then they support.
It's real hard though. You know, when you're watching Hercules, because that was one of the ones I watched. And you're like, oh man, James Woods is fucking fantastic. Too bad he's a total prick.
Too bad he's a fucking asshole. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, you didn't have the people in office when he was recording that dialogue. So,
very true.
So maybe in the past, James Woods was pretty cool. So he was pretty great on Family Guy. Let's move on.
2 more small ones, and then we'll get into the bigger ones. Timmy Oliphant.
Good old
Timothy Oliphant.
Timmy Elephant.
Timothy Oliphant has been cast in Mandalorian Season 2.
Yeah, so he is playing actually, I wouldn't say super significant, but sorry, go on.
This is hearsay at this point, what you're about to relay to the audience. So
yeah.
Don't quote him on this, people.
I won't. But he's supposed to be playing a somewhat significant character, or a character who has somewhat significant a backstory in Star Wars canon. He's most likely playing the character. Hit the microphone there. Most likely playing the character of Cobb Vanth, who, if you've never heard of him, it's okay. I didn't hear about him either, but he was in.
Who reads books anymore?
He was in a series of books. I pulled up the wrong article. Fucking Hype Beast. What is that? Hold on.
Slash Film was who broke it initially. Cobb Vanth, not Bob Vance from Vance Refrigeration, was from Star Wars Aftermath, which is a novel set after Return of the Jedi.
He's mentioned in a trilogy, which is I think it's the Aftermath trilogy of books, but they're all told from different perspectives. And he basically plays this, sheriff type character who eventually dons Mandalorian armor.
Steals Boba Fett's armor.
Yeah. Who steals Boba Fett's armor, and that's why I think it's kind of interesting that we're going to be getting Boba Fett coming back to Season 2. Yeah. We're going to be seeing some conflict between those two characters. And with Katie Sackhoff being rumored to play as Bo-Katan, it's just kind of interesting to see all of these ancillary characters that are fan favorites to each of the mediums that they're represented in,
Yeah.
kind of being portrayed in a more mainstream way. Because at this point,
Right.
Mandalorian is probably the most mainstream Star Wars content that we have
Absolutely.
to look forward to.
Outside of the movies, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, and thank you, Baby Yoda, for doing that. I guess. Yeah. I think it's cool. I think you're gonna.
He's great. I like him.
Timothy Oliphant, good old Timmy Elephant. He needs to play a sheriff character. He's known for playing sheriff characters.
He has to. It's in
Justified.
his contract.
Yeah, I need to make sure I got a good old cowboy hat.
I gotta be able to do this with my brim hat.
Yeah.
For the audience, I'm like rubbing my thumb and index finger across it. It's actually very satisfying.
It is.
No wonder he does it so much.
Yeah, I mean, and that's with an actual cowboy hat, not a fucking
Yeah. Not a cap.
not a cap. It's really cool. I'm glad that they're bringing even more high profile actors onto this show. I'm really excited.
Yep. Jamie Lee Curtis has agreed to a first look deal with Blumhouse for 3. Hold on. Sorry. Oh my God, where is it? Deadline. What are you doing?
She's looking to get behind the camera and be a director for Blumhouse for a horror movie about climate change.
Yes, so centered around climate change. I was looking for the number of movies that she agreed to for a first look deal. Maybe there's no limit. But yeah, so for those who are unaware, a first look deal means that a writer or director will approach the studio that you made that deal with and present them with whatever you have first before going to anyone else. So whatever Jamie Lee Curtis does within the next 3 years, I think. 3 years. She will bring it first to Blumhouse, and they will decide whether or not they want it. And if they don't, then she can go elsewhere. But yeah.
It's a very lucrative deal to have, especially with such a high-profile actor.
Now, I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but as you said, with the basis of the first movie being a horror story that, quote, centered around climate change, I'm getting very strong Happening vibes. And that makes me nervous.
Well, we don't know. She's the director. We don't know who's writing. Hopefully, it would be somebody in the Blumhouse camp, somebody who somewhat knows what they're doing. Did you enjoy the new Halloween movie?
I did, yeah.
Did?
I very much enjoyed it.
I thought it was great. She's still signed on for the 2 sequels, Halloween Kills coming out this year and Halloween Ends coming out next year, which I don't know if it got delayed or not. Halloween Kills.
I don't think it's been affected yet.
Yeah.
But,
And that's written by Danny McBride and David Gordon Green, both, who have a pedigree of being... I mean... Danny McBride, who was obviously involved in Alien Covenant, but was also involved in writing the Halloween movie that we just mentioned that came out last year. Was it last year?
Yeah.
Fuck, that seems like so long ago.
2018.
2018. Okay, thank you. But the kind of revival of the series.
Yeah.
And he wrote that along with David Gordon Green. So we have 2 new Halloween movies to look forward to. For the environmental movie where she's going to be directing, it's going to be interesting to see because we don't know. Do we know who's writing?
We don't know. And we haven't seen her directorial chops. I assume because she's a fucking legend in the business and knows what the fuck she's talking about, that she has at least a good basis to stand on.
Yeah.
And I'm also not a climate denier, so if it's good, I'm all for it. But I swear to Christ, if I get fucking Mark Wahlberg in a hallway going, no, again, I'm going to shit my pants.
She's the name of the film, tentatively, I should say, it's called Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So she says she's 61, and my motto is if not now, when? If not me, who? I think it's really, really commendable that she's willing to she's just gonna keep going. She's gonna be like, you want me to play Laurie Strode again? Fuck yeah, why not? She's got that. Who gives a fuck? I love that character. I love playing that character. And
yeah, she's doing whatever she wants.
She does whatever she wants, and
good
she's in that.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Okay, two more stories. Well, one story and then the big story, and we might go a little long here.
Okay.
Ruby Rose has exited Batwoman,
Yeah.
the CW show, after the first season, and after the second season was greenlit.
Yeah.
That role is going to be recast for season 2 going forward, and apparently it was due to rigorous and long work hours.
The timing is strange, though.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but didn't she have a fairly intense accident on set?
She did. She
Like,
injured her
right
foot, I believe. Hold on.
I thought it was her neck. You're thinking of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably. I thought that was like they were filming at the same time.
No.
Injury. Herniated 2 discs doing stunts, and they were close to severing my spinal cord. So yeah, I can only imagine her. Yeah, I would want to leave.
I would fucking walk too, man. Because apparently it didn't get any better after that.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly hear that the show's really all that good. So
I feel like that entire universe is kind of, and I'm willing to eat crow. I've eaten it before. Delicious.
it's gamey.
But I think that the entire universe of the CW universe, I should say, outside of Legends of Tomorrow, for some weird freakish reason, is kind of sunsetting. It's kind of winding down. Arrow is ending. You
say that, but they're doing that. They're doing that Lois and Clark live action show,
which makes no fucking sense to me because that Superman has been getting nothing but negative reception. Am I incorrect?
I thought it was relatively okay because it was off the back of the what was the event called?
The
big comic book one,
the crossover event. I don't know. Infinite Earths, or it's one of those.
Crisis of Infinite Earths. That's it. Or was it Infinite Crisis? I don't fucking know.
Whatever.
Infinite Crisis. Something.
Crises. I like you're spinning, and it's funny that a Superman show is being spun off of Supergirl. I find that hilarious and ironic, but it's just like I don't hear anything good, and maybe it's because I'm not in those circles. I'm not reading the forums because I'm not watching the shows. Who knows? But I don't hear anything good about Supergirl. I don't hear anything good about Arrow's ending. Anything good about Flash. I
hear Flash actually ended well this past season.
Did it? Okay.
Right? Like, that's the thing with the CW shows. They bounce all over the place. Like, I never hear, like, oh, this show's great. I always hear, no matter what property it is, it's like, season 1's pretty good, season 2's good, fucking skip season 3.
Yeah.
Don't even watch it. 4 is even worse. Don't watch that either. 5 and 6, they start to come back up, and then 7, boy, let me tell you, man, that shit's great. I'm like, well, what the fuck?
I'm not spending... It's like 23, 25, 26 episodes. It's like, it takes up the entire year, and they're all an hour long with commercials. Yeah. And there's 5 different shows of 5 different...
And then you have the crossover events, so to get everything, you have to watch those too. And oh yeah, man!
Like in order to watch the Crisis of Infinite Earths, you have to watch an episode of Legends of Tomorrow, which I have not watched a single episode of. So who the fuck are these characters? You get much more out of reading the actual comics. So just go read the actual comics.
Yeah.
Let this money be spent
you're
somewhere
doing
else.
lately. Well, not those comics, but you're reading comics lately.
Go watch Lois and Clark, not Clark and Lois. Anyway.
So last bit of news, which is the big one. The Justice League Snyder Cut is officially coming out on HBO Max in 2021.
I wish we had more time to talk about this.
After all, fuck it. You can cut that last joke out and you'll get an extra 5 minutes. And I won't look like super bad.
I have to make you look super bad, though.
That's mean.
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah, after all the loud screaming and shouting and pants wetting, people are getting what
I
they
didn't
wanted.
get the Justice League I wanted.
Now, look, I say it that way, but I'm very glad that everybody who is invested enough in this is getting what they want. Oh shit! Hold on.
What's up?
I just slammed my phone on the keyboard and it closed the video, so I was making sure.
You're still recording?
And I didn't. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, just want to make sure. I'll cut this
I'm
part.
very happy. I'm very happy that everyone that is invested that much in it is getting what they wanted, and most of the actors have come out and been like, "Yay! This is finally."
It's just good publicity. That's all it is.
That being said, it's going to take 20 to 30 million. They're getting 20 to 30 million for just post-production. They're not doing any reshoots. It's all based off of footage that was already in the previous movie or the original release and what was cut out. And then Snyder is going back through and post and I guess adding dialogue. Some things like Martian Manhunter are going to be added in. The black Superman suit's going to be added back in. So I think now granted, I haven't seen the movie, but I think it's probably still not going to be a great movie.
It's not. Surprise, surprise. This sets I'm in the camp of this sets a dangerous precedent. And I know it's not the first example of Hollywood crumpling under the imaginary stress of fans complaining about something. Because this was going to continue on forever. I get that. But at the same time, a studio can go, all right, well, I can just block the keywords, release the Snyder Cut, and move on. That's what most studios do. I think that because now look, there's people saying release the Ayer cut for Suicide Squad.
I was going to get to that because David Ayer was on Twitter or whatever being like, man, we cut so much of Leto's Joker. I feel so sad for him. And now people are like,
where?
The Ayer cut. And I'm like, there's nothing. Literally, I don't want to see any more of Leto's Joker. So if anything, that would make it worse.
I don't want any more money spent on the Academy Award-winning film Suicide Squad.
Oh, don't do that.
I'm just saying, look, and David Ayer's like, oh, I just want another $20 million so that I can fuck around with it, and add those scenes in. I don't understand. I thought the Justice League cut, Zack Snyder cut, whatever, he's been recorded saying that it's finished, that like it's done. And now they're just saying, oh, well, if we throw money at it, let me just add all this CGI extra shit. Because that's what it's all going to be. He's not going to film new stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he can't. Unless it's in CG, he's not, like HBO Max just literally said no. You can't call. 'Cause on top of the production budget, you have to tack onto that an extra 20 to 30 million. If you start calling people back for reshoots, now you got to start paying their salary or whatever.
Yeah, not to mention all the cast and crew the crew.
We're not fucking doing this. The most anyone is actually going to spend on this movie, technically, would be the subscription price to HBO Max.
Right.
And I'm willing to bet a large portion of the people who have already seen Justice League who want the Snyder Cut are probably just going to end up pirating it.
Oh yeah, or
as sad as it is.
Or basically finding any other means besides having to pay HBO any more money, or Warner Brothers any more money.
And if it was something like $8, like Disney Plus is, or whatever, like even $10, you probably have less people scoffing at that. But
what is it? It's
HBO
15.
Max is $14.99.
Yeah, $15, and that's you're basically paying for the movie. It's because you got to wonder if they're going to be doing. If they're doing this for a Mandalorian type situation, but whereas the Mandalorian is a TV series, and no matter whether this is a 4-hour long film or a 6, episode long miniseries, it's people are going to subscribe for this one thing and then hop off. Yep. And HBO may be accounting for that. They may be just thinking, hey, we might make our money back from subscriptions just for this one property.
Well, and they have experience with that, too, because Game of Thrones was like... 7 years running or whatever. Not because they had years in between, but they were always the most pirated fucking shit off their platform.
Yeah.
I think what was the last season? More people pirated it than actually watched it.
Yeah.
On HBO.
Yeah. Watched episodes like even on YouTube before they got blocked because they couldn't block everybody.
Right.
I mean, I'm not worried about Hollywood. I'm not worried about what the future will hold because I know that there are enough creative people to continue on making original content in the future. But I feel like if you keep going back to this stuff for poorly lauded, poorly critically panned films and just throwing money at it, it's like, why? Just move on. Zack Snyder, move on.
Yeah, well, we can also argue that it is feasible that this decision is based on the climate we're in right now. You know, most people aren't doing shoots. I think New Zealand is actually back having people on sets, but other than that, there's no live sets right now. So HBO might be looking at this like we gotta get something in the pipeline for next year because at this rate, our whole schedule is gonna get fucked up. So
push everything back continuously. Maybe
you fucking give this guy and the people who've been screaming at us for 2 years or whenever Justice League came out, what the fuck they want. Just throw some money at them. What's 20 to 30 million to HBO, right? Like, just fucking toss chump change to them. Let them do post. And then we can shove it on HBO Max and then say, look, we finally fucking listened to you. We'll turn this into a great PR thing.
Yeah.
And then if it's still a shitty movie, well, you got what you wanted, man.
They'll get their money back. This is such a simple investment from them. But it does, like I said, and like the entire internet who has a sane mind has said, it's dangerous to think about. And I know where you're coming from. Like, they don't know what the future holds with this pandemic. But a lot of what governments for countries all over the world are doing, they're starting to move on, whether this pandemic continues or not, and it will. But we're in a tricky situation where there will be people willing to go back onto movie sets, when they come back open. Let's say movie sets, it's just back to normal, everyday stuff as like the beginning of March. Everything's normal, back to normal. There will be people who are like, I can't work because I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get my family members sick. So you'll have union members, they'll just fucking withdraw themselves and stop paying dues. Right. And then it will affect the entire Hollywood industry. There will be more. I'm spitballing the future of Hollywood.
Right. But I was going to say, alternatively, because there's a union, they could actually be a bit more protective. And I don't know if you're up to date on wrestling news. I know we're an hour and 30 minutes in, but there was a whole thing a couple weeks ago with, or at least for the past couple months, with Roman Reigns, who is immunocompromised because he is recovering from leukemia, or he is in remission from leukemia, and they were wanting him to come in and do WrestleMania. And even though they don't have crowds or anything anymore, you're still coming face to face, and that's like a contact sport, quote unquote. So like that option just isn't there for him.
Yeah.
He can't take that chance. And now because there's no wrestlers union or anything, it looks like they're kind of like punishing him for it because, WrestleMania is their big thing.
Yeah. It's the big,
and
big
he backed out like a week or two before the show. So now they're kind of like shit talking him, and there's not really a whole lot of recourse for him, which is unfortunate. So ideally, because of that union, that, say what you will about unions, there's opposing sides on both ends. But in this instance, they do serve a purpose to protect
workers.
Those who workers.
It'll be interesting to see. Like I said, the future of Hollywood is definitely going to be a lot of looking back and seeing what they can do with the properties that they own. Maybe remastering decades old stuff, hopefully, or adapting them into new stuff. But like they can't go onto sets and film them. They constantly push back dates of movies that were supposed to come out this year, movies, TV shows, the like. So when it comes to when sets open back up, or when, they start releasing movies back in movie theaters, who knows? We're still playing the guessing game with all of that. We're just two guys just constantly refreshing our Cinemark app.
We're just two guys. Yeah, thank Christ they stopped charging us for that.
Oh yeah, that was a really smart move on Cinemark. I'm really glad. I would have canceled day one.
Yeah.
But I love it too much, and I miss the movie theater. I really, 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 really do.
Yeah.
Oh well, just gonna have to keep enjoying movies from home.
Yep.
Zach, do you have any more news for me?
Nope, that was it. That was the last of the news.
You sound so exhausted, man. We finally got to the point of talking about the one thing we wanted to talk about, and I kind of want to be like, it's a lot of guesswork. It's a lot of trying to think about what's going to happen next.
Well, just up front, I, again, haven't seen Justice League, so the most I can say is hooray for people that wanted it. I don't care.
You're very interesting because you're a case of having never seen it, whereas it's hard to find people who haven't seen it.
And in fact, when this broke, I was thinking to myself, well, now how do I want to play this?
Yeah.
Because I will probably get to it in maybe a decade. I don't know. So I'm going to have to watch all the other ones. I still have to watch Wonder Woman. I still have to watch Shazam. And I know Shazam's not connected to it, but to get the whole DC Universe banner in there. Eventually, I will make my way to Justice League after Batman v Superman.
Well, luckily, with Justice League, you only have to watch Man of Steel and Batman v Superman to watch Justice League.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe I want to pad out my time before I get there.
I guess, yeah. If I would say all the enjoyable movies are the ones that aren't connected to those other three. So
right. But now it's well, do I watch the original before I see the Snyder cut so I can relate to the discussion going on?
That's a lot.
Or do I wait until the Snyder cut so I can just watch the movie as supposedly intended? And then I can be like, well, I watched the
good
movie.
One. Well, the super long one. So even if you watched the Snyder version and the new version, whatever it is, that's at least 7 hours of your life.
Yeah.
At least.
It's a lot of Justice League. It's a lot of mediocre movie in there.
It's. I'll watch it with you. If it makes it more tolerable, but.
I'm a man very born from the cloth of the hate watch.
Yeah.
It's in me.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I watched season 3. And hey, look at that. It's not as bad as season 2 of Westworld.
Well, just wait until season 4.
Yeah. Maybe it's one of those shows that it's every odd season's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then every even season is fucking abysmal.
Like Star Trek. Where all
the
even ones are good.
The movies.
Yeah. And I think the same with the shows, because the original Star Trek's good, and then I think Deep Space 5 or whatever the fuck it's called, Voyager 6. I don't know. There's a lot of Star Trek out there, and I personally can't watch all of it.
And there's more now.
Even more. I can't handle it. Zach, if people wanted to email us and tell us everything that we got wrong, everything that they hate about our faces, everything that they hate about
very hateable faces.
Very punchable faces, from what I've been told.
I've been looking at yours for over an hour and a half now, and
I'm sorry.
Well, even my face, it's right above yours, and I want to punch the two faces that I see.
It's okay. So if you, like us, want to punch our faces through email, I guess, how would they contact us?
Yes, if you would like to email punch us, which sounds vaguely sexual. You can do that at lightscameranonsense@gmail.com.
So that's lightscameranonsense@gmail.com. Give us your questions, comments, and concerns. Tell us everything you know about movies, and we'll tell you how right you are, because we're probably incorrect.
It's probably true.
We've been wrong so many times before.
Look, we promise nothing, deliver less. That's how it goes.
It's crest. It's the motto underneath our crest. I don't know why I motioned towards my boobs.
It's our epitaph on our gravestones.
It's how dark and sinister.
Promise nothing, delivered less.
But this has been Lights Camera Nonsense, keeping you updated despite our best efforts. Make sure to tune in every 2 weeks for all the latest news, reviews, and Zach.
How do you do?
Exactly. Yeah, all of those. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next time. Zach? Yeah. That sounded like a fart.